Ladies and gentlemen, aging is an inevitable part of life, yet how we age is something largely within our control. The body weakens, the mind slows, and the world around us changes at a pace that often feels relentless. But there are certain habits, certain patterns of behavior that creep in with age, things that others see, things that make them uncomfortable, things they choose not to mention out of politeness or fear of offending. These behaviors can push people away, isolate us, and strip us of the dignity we once carried with ease. Addressing them is not about vanity, it's about maintaining self-respect, relevance, and connection with others. There is a natural tendency as people age to become more critical of the world around them. With experience comes perspective, and with perspective often comes dissatisfaction. Things don't work the way they used to, people don't behave as they once did, and the world moves at a pace that feels increasingly difficult to keep up with. Complaints begin as small observations, minor grievances about modern technology, shifting social values, or the loss of traditions, but over time they grow into a dominant force in everyday conversation. The problem with constant complaining is that it creates a negative atmosphere, both for the one speaking and for those forced to listen. Complaints do not inspire change, they drain energy. When someone continuously voices their dissatisfaction, they unknowingly push people away. Friends and family may listen at first, nodding politely, but over time they begin to disengage. They stop responding, they change the subject, they distance themselves. Not because they do not care, but because negativity is exhausting to be around. Complaining often disguises itself as wisdom. There is a belief that pointing out what is wrong with the world is a form of insight, a sign of having lived and learned. But wisdom is not merely recognizing problems, it is offering solutions. It is understanding why things change. It is knowing when to speak and when to let things be. People do not admire those who endlessly highlight what is wrong. They admire those who offer meaningful guidance, those who help navigate difficulties rather than simply pointing them out. One of the most damaging aspects of habitual complaining is that it reinforces a mindset of helplessness. The more one speaks about what is wrong, the more one convinces themselves that things are out of their control. This leads to resentment, frustration, and a deep sense of powerlessness. Instead of adapting, instead of finding new ways to engage with the world, the complainer withdraws, convinced that everything is broken and that there is nothing they can do about it. This self-imposed isolation only deepens the dissatisfaction that started it all. There is also a generational divide that grows wider with excessive complaining. Younger people do not want to constantly hear about how their world is worse than the one that came before. They do not appreciate being told that they are weaker, lazier, or less moral than past generations. Even if there is some truth to these criticisms, the way they are delivered determines whether they will be received. A message wrapped in bitterness will always be rejected, while a message rooted in genuine understanding has the potential to inspire. Complaining at its core is a defense mechanism. It provides an outlet for frustration, a way to express disappointment without taking action. But action is what separates those who remain mentally strong as they age from those who grow bitter. Instead of complaining about the way things are, one can choose to engage, to learn, to understand the reasons behind the changes that cause frustration. The world does not stop moving for anyone, and those who refuse to move with it find themselves standing still while everything passes them by. Another danger of complaining is that it often exaggerates problems. The more one focuses on what is wrong, the bigger those problems seem. Small inconveniences become major frustrations. Minor changes feel like catastrophic losses. This distorts reality, creating an overwhelming sense of dissatisfaction that is not entirely justified. A person who complains constantly does not see life as it is. They see life as a series of disappointments, reinforcing the belief that nothing is as good as it once was. Social interactions suffer when complaining becomes a habit. Conversations turn into one-sided monologues about everything that is wrong, leaving little room for genuine connection. People begin to anticipate negativity before even speaking to the complainer, and so they avoid engagement. They take longer to return phone calls, they hesitate to visit, and eventually they stop reaching out altogether. What feels like abandonment is often just self-preservation, others protecting their own mental and emotional energy from the weight of endless dissatisfaction. Even the body responds to negativity. Studies have shown that chronic complaining increases stress levels, weakens the immune system, and contributes to higher rates of anxiety and depression. The mind and body are deeply connected, and a person who constantly dwells on problems is in effect training their body to live in a state of stress. This accelerates aging, weakens resilience, and reduces overall well-being. In contrast, those who focus on solutions, gratitude, and engagement tend to maintain both mental and physical strength for much longer. It is also important to recognize that not everything is meant to be as it once was. Societies evolve, traditions shift, and progress often comes with discomfort. The older generations of every era have struggled with change, believing that the new ways are inferior to the old. But history shows that change is necessary, that resistance to it only leads to frustration, and that those who embrace adaptation remain the most influential and respected members of society. Complaining about change does not stop it. It only ensures that one is left behind. The real challenge is not avoiding complaints altogether, but choosing when they are worth voicing. Constructive criticism is valuable, insightful discussions about challenges are necessary, and certain injustices deserve to be called out. But when every conversation is built around dissatisfaction, when no effort is made to balance criticism with curiosity, when frustration becomes a defining trait, the result is an existence that is more bitter than it needs to be. Complaining should not be a reflex. It should be a last resort when all other approaches have been exhausted. Those who age well are those who understand that their perspective is valuable, but only if it is used wisely. They know that their words shape the way others see them, that the difference between being seen as a source of wisdom and being seen as a burden often comes down to how they choose to speak about the world. They do not deny reality, but they also do not drown in it. They acknowledge what is wrong, but they also seek what is right. They understand that people listen to those who offer something more than just criticism, and that the ability to inspire is far greater than the desire to complain. As people age, there is a tendency to become less concerned with physical appearance and hygiene. What was once an essential part of daily routine, grooming, dressing well, maintaining cleanliness, begins to feel less urgent. The energy required to maintain these habits starts to feel like a burden, and the motivation to keep up with them gradually fades. This change often happens subtly, unnoticed at first, but over time it becomes more pronounced and others begin to take note. One of the reasons this happens is that older individuals may feel that their appearance no longer matters as much. They are no longer in the phase of life where they need to impress employers, attract a partner, or keep up with social expectations. However, what is often overlooked is that personal hygiene and appearance are not just about how others perceive you, they are about self-respect, confidence, and dignity. And when those are neglected, the impact goes far beyond just looking unkempt. Ignoring hygiene has direct consequences on physical health. Neglecting oral hygiene, for instance, can lead to infections, gum disease, and even more serious health issues like heart problems. Skipping showers or failing to change clothes regularly can cause skin conditions, body odor, and bacterial infections. Unkempt hair and untrimmed nails may seem like minor oversights, but they contribute to an overall decline in self-care that can be difficult to reverse once it becomes habitual. Beyond the physical effects, there is a psychological cost to letting go of personal hygiene. When a person stops caring about their appearance, they start to feel disconnected from the world around them. They may withdraw from social interactions, avoiding gatherings because they feel self-conscious or out of place. The result is isolation, loneliness, and a growing sense of irrelevance. This, in turn, can lead to depression, reinforcing the cycle of neglecting self-care. People around you notice when hygiene and appearance are no longer a priority, even if they do not say anything. Family members may feel uncomfortable bringing it up, fearing that it will be taken as criticism. Friends may start to avoid close interactions because they feel uneasy but do not want to offend. The reality is that neglecting personal hygiene sends an unspoken message. It suggests a loss of interest in life, a surrender to decline, a giving up on the things that once mattered. Another aspect of this issue is clothing. Wearing old, stained, or ill-fitting clothes can make a person appear much older and more fragile than they actually are. Clothes have a powerful impact on how people perceive themselves and how others treat them. Dressing well, even in older age, signals that a person still values their presence in the world, that they are still engaged with life, that they still have a sense of pride in who they are. It is not about fashion or vanity. It is about self-presentation and the way it affects both internal confidence and external perception. Hygiene and appearance also play a crucial role in maintaining relationships. A person who neglects them risks creating distance between themselves and their loved ones. Grandchildren may hesitate to get close, family members may avoid physical contact, and friends may prefer to meet in less personal settings. While no one wants to admit it, people instinctively react to poor hygiene with discomfort. This can lead to strained relationships where others struggle between wanting to show care and feeling repelled by the lack of self-care. There is also a connection between hygiene and cognitive health. Studies have shown that a sudden decline in self-care can sometimes be an early sign of cognitive decline or depression. When a person who was once meticulous about their grooming starts ignoring it, it often reflects deeper issues. Addressing hygiene is not just about appearances. It is about maintaining a sense of normalcy, a structured routine, and an awareness of one's own well-being. The environment a person lives in often reflects their approach to personal care. A cluttered, unclean living space tends to mirror a decline in hygiene habits. When a person stops making their bed, cleaning their space, or keeping their surroundings fresh, it is often an indicator of a mental shift toward neglect. This is why maintaining hygiene is not just about washing up. It is about preserving the habits that keep the mind engaged, the body healthy, and the spirit active. What makes this issue particularly challenging is that it often goes unnoticed by the person experiencing it. They may not realize how much they have changed or how it is affecting their interactions with others. Over time, they may begin to justify it, believing that it does not matter anymore, that people should accept them as they are, that aging naturally comes with a decline in self-care. But these beliefs only reinforce the behaviors that lead to further isolation and diminished quality of life. Caring about hygiene and appearance is not about fighting aging. It is about embracing it with dignity. It is about recognizing that taking care of oneself is a form of self-respect, a signal to the world that a person is still present, still engaged, still part of the social fabric. The small acts of grooming, dressing well, and maintaining cleanliness are not superficial. They are fundamental to preserving identity, confidence, and a meaningful connection to others. Those who continue to prioritize hygiene and appearance in old age tend to experience a greater sense of vitality. They remain socially active, maintain stronger relationships, and feel more in control of their lives. The habits that once seemed routine become powerful tools for preserving self-worth. And when self-worth remains intact, so does the ability to engage with the world in a way that is fulfilling, purposeful, and full of dignity. Change is the only constant in life, yet as people grow older, there is a tendency to resist it. What once felt like exciting progress begins to seem like unnecessary disruption. The comfort of familiarity becomes more appealing than the challenge of learning something new. The world moves forward, but those who refuse to adapt find themselves left behind, clinging to old ways in a world that no longer operates the way it once did. One of the main reasons people resist change is fear. The unknown feels threatening, and new ideas, technologies, and social norms can seem overwhelming. It is easier to reject them outright than to struggle through the process of understanding and integrating them. But fear of change does not stop the world from changing. It only creates isolation. The more one resists, the more difficult it becomes to relate to younger generations, to participate in society, and to maintain relevance in an evolving world. Another reason people struggle with change is the belief that the past was superior. They compare the present to an idealized version of the past, forgetting that every era had its flaws and challenges. While it is natural to feel nostalgic, dwelling too much on how things used to be prevents meaningful engagement with the present. Clinging to outdated perspectives creates a disconnect, making it difficult to hold conversations or build relationships with people who are focused on the future rather than the past. Technology is one of the biggest areas where resistance to change is most obvious. New devices, social media, online banking, and digital communication have transformed the way people interact. But those who refuse to engage with these tools often struggle to stay connected. They find themselves increasingly dependent on others to help them navigate the modern world, which can lead to frustration on both sides. Learning new technologies may feel daunting, but refusing to try only leads to further alienation. Beyond technology, societal values also evolve over time. Norms around gender roles, family dynamics, workplace expectations, and personal identity are constantly shifting. Those who resist these changes often express frustration, arguing that things should remain as they were. However, every generation has challenged the beliefs of the one before it. Dismissing new perspectives outright does not preserve tradition, it merely creates division and prevents meaningful dialogue between generations. Resisting change also leads to stagnation. Growth comes from adaptation, from facing challenges and learning from them. Those who refuse to adapt often stop learning, stop questioning, and stop seeking new experiences. This mental rigidity can accelerate cognitive decline as the brain thrives on new information and problem solving. Just as the body weakens without exercise, the mind weakens when it is not actively engaged with new ideas and evolving realities. There is also a social cost to refusing to adapt. People who rigidly hold on to the past often struggle to maintain relationships as their conversations become repetitive and dismissive of new perspectives. Friends and family may hesitate to engage in discussions, knowing that any mention of change will be met with criticism or resistance. Over time, this leads to isolation, where others stop making an effort to connect, and the person resisting change finds themselves increasingly alone. Change is often uncomfortable, but discomfort is not a reason to reject it. The greatest minds in history, scientists, artists, philosophers, were those who embraced new ideas, challenged old ways of thinking, and remained open to the unknown. The ability to adapt is a sign of intelligence, resilience, and strength. It is not about abandoning one's values, but about understanding how to integrate them into a changing world in a way that remains meaningful and relevant. Another aspect of resistance to change is the tendency to dismiss younger generations as misguided or uninformed. It is easy to believe that wisdom comes only with age, but younger people bring fresh perspectives, creativity, and innovation. Rejecting their ideas without consideration is not wisdom, it is arrogance. True wisdom lies in listening, in engaging with new concepts, and in finding ways to bridge the gap between experience and modern advancements. Health and lifestyle choices are another area where resistance to change becomes problematic. Science continually improves our understanding of nutrition, exercise, and medicine, yet many people refuse to adapt their habits to align with new knowledge. They continue unhealthy eating patterns, ignore medical advice, or reject fitness routines that could improve their quality of life. Clinging to outdated habits does not preserve well-being. It accelerates decline and limits the ability to enjoy later years. Work and financial stability also depend on adaptability. The job market changes, industries evolve, and economic realities shift. Those who refuse to learn new skills or explore different ways of earning income find themselves struggling to keep up. Financial independence in later years often depends on one's willingness to understand modern investment strategies, technological tools, and shifting economic trends. Refusing to adapt does not preserve security, it threatens it. The world will continue to change whether one accepts it or not. Those who remain flexible, curious, and willing to evolve are the ones who maintain their sense of purpose, their connections, and their influence. They do not fear change, they embrace it as an opportunity for growth. They recognize that every generation faces shifts in culture, technology, and ideas, and they choose to engage with these shifts rather than resist them. They understand that the key to remaining relevant, respected, and fulfilled lies not in rejecting the future, but in learning how to navigate it.